a world-class classical music festival based in Durango, Colorado, offering orchestra, chamber, and world music concerts from July 11 through August 1st. This year, enjoy a variety of concert events in local venues, as well as many free concerts in community parks throughout southwest Colorado. Find out more online at musicinthemountains.com. You're tuned to KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico, 90.9 FM. And now 103.3 FM, K277CR, Durango, Colorado. Do you have health insurance? If not, this is a great time to get it. The high-quality health plans at healthcare.gov are now more affordable than ever. How much you pay is based on your income. 4 out of 5 people qualify for a health care plan of $10 a month or less. For free help enrolling, call healthcare.gov at 1-800-318-2596. 1-800-318-2596.
Robbery in progress. See surplus store corner People's Drive on 24th Street.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Cop Shop with FPD. I'm Chief Steve Hebbe, and with me as always, the effervescent, radiant, and maybe suffering from heat exhaustion today, Nicole Brown, who was out riding today despite specific orders not to do things like that. And how did riding in the heat go?
It went well. I got up early. I was out there by like 8 o'clock, but it's just so hot that it was still pretty warm by the time I got done. And yeah, so my cheeks are still a little red. Yeah. I'm still a little flushed.
So if you're not joining us on Facebook Live, you can tune in and see us live. Today, I think temperatures are supposed to be 103, maybe 105 tomorrow, if I saw Scott's. So we are back definitely in the throes of a heat wave. But despite that, we've been busy the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot going on in Farmington and with Farmington PD. And so we thought we'd talk about some of those things and then look at a few of the national issues, which I think we've looked at in various forms, but I think is definitely an evolving one. And we talked here a little while back about, what my prediction was for the future of crime and how that would then impact policing. So I think we'll get into some of that later on. But we'll start off with we actually had a nice little 4th of July. And it was great to see the parade.
Yeah, for the parade to be back and be participating in it. There's one of our pictures of our honor guard. They walk the flag through the parade every year. And it's just one of my favorite things about Farmington, that we have a little, Main Street parade in small town America on the 4th of July. Just makes me happy.
Nope, it is something. Since I got here, I've been very big on our parade, and that's exactly the way I view it. If not in small town America, a parade down Main Street on the 4th of July to just be mandatory. I ought to make it a state law. Maybe I'll talk to the governor about that. But for now, it feels like a habit for us. We do it regularly. Last year was bad. We just didn't get to get together. So I don't know what the crowd was. A lot of them's there because Scott Michlin is the MC of the event.
It's a huge thing. If Scott Michlin's your MC, it's a celebrity event.
Yeah, so we might have hit 10,000 because of Scott.
It felt like a large crowd.
It was a large crowd, and it was great to see so many kids and so many people. And really, when you're looking at that picture, it's a beautiful night. You got folks all lined up on both sides of the street. I love that part of Farmington. So.
Grand Marshal. I were there to see the Grand Marshal.
It's true. Yeah, I feel like it was a pretty big event with Scott and you.
Yeah. Didn't Scott say he didn't want to be part of the show? And then doesn't he just kind of chip in whenever he wants to? So we're having a little, technical difficulties here, folks. But yes.
You were the Grand Marshal for the parade this year, and that was a pretty big deal.
It was.
I felt like.
I thought it was. I was honored to do it. Janet and I have walked in the parade every year. We pass out candy. We love seeing all the people and feeling good about our country and feeling feeling good about our community, and so I love it, and the fact that I was Grand Marshal, I was very humbled by it, so it was great.
And the car you rode in was super special because I didn't know this when it happened, but when Scott announced it on the parade, that the car was the same year as your birth year. So the car was as old as you were.
I did not know Scott announced that.
Yeah.
I think I don't like Scott's knowledge
Yeah,
of
look.
certain details.
If you're watching on Facebook, you can see the car.
Apparently Scott's feeling a little froggy today, isn't it? Well, and so next week, folks, you'll have to tune into KRWN, and we will be on Crown Radio with the show in the future.
No, there's the real car.
Real car. So yes, it was a 1965
Cobra.
Cobra.
Yeah, it was pretty cool little car.
It was, and so I can say I've never ridden any great distance like that. But
On
I
the
did
back
make it,
of the convertible.
yeah, kind of teetering there, but it was great. We had a great time. So
Yeah, it was cool that Janet got to ride with you and throw out candy.
yep, we threw our candy out fast.
I know,
And
yeah.
then we were
We have
empty.
to apologize to everyone on the second half of the parade route because I bought candy and the SWAT officers also bought candy. So we were like, we have so much candy. Like, let's just throw the candy. It'll be fine. And we ran out. And then we
It wasn't
felt
fine.
really bad,
Yeah.
and it wasn't fun.
So then I was frisbeeing stickers into the crowd, which is quasi illegal. But
So,
anyway, we did.
Next time, we'll buy double what we bought.
We will. So
We'll be more prepared.
if you got a chance to be there, we were thrilled to see everybody there. If you didn't, then look forward to you next year. It's a great event. You ought to do it at least once.
It is a really fun community event. I really enjoy it.
So other than that, FPD's been busy with a variety of other things. We had sort of in the category of tragically good news, and that was that police in Nevada found the body of one of our missing women that we'd been looking for over 2 years. And so it's tragic on the one hand because she was obviously deceased, but it was great closure on the other hand, and that was Cecilia Fiona's body was recovered, and we then pressed charges against the suspect who's been in custody in Nevada since he was picked up shortly after her disappearance, and he was picked up for using her ATM card as he was traveling across the country, went into Nevada, I think California, Arizona, and then was out on the Navajo Nation some too. So he'd been sitting in jail while we were hoping that we were going to get a break in the case. We were able to get that break, and that led to charges finally.
Yeah, and this case has been something that, for the family and for our department, has really, been something that we've been constantly working on. We were constantly following, up on where she could be, because we weren't sure. He covered such a great amount of distance. He was all over several states, and so it was really hard to kind of narrow where we needed to look for her. And so this was huge. This was
we had tried through him to find out where she would have last been seen, and we did not get anywhere going that route. Her family had organized search after search after search in all sorts of different areas, throughout the region where we knew that he had traveled through.
Yeah,
and
we used,
obviously
like,
those searches were fruitless for you.
cell phone pings and that kind of
Yes.
stuff to try and narrow down. And
And the ATM locations, that
yeah.
we did know. So it was, on the one hand, I was very proud of our agency that we had continued working hard on it. We'd stayed in contact with the family. We had, we continued to work with prosecutors, and we were trying a variety of different tactics to see what would happen if we didn't find her. Where would we go? So we had a lot of things in motion, and then we got a break, and all of that changed. And so I'm very pleased that we're going to be able to hold someone accountable for this. But I'm sad for her friends and family. She was a good person, a U.S. Army vet, who didn't deserve what happened to her.
yeah. No, and it was really great that we had worked so hard, and everything was, the detectives really had their ducks in a row, and they had worked with the prosecutors so closely, so that once she was found, we were able to file that warrant immediately. So I was really glad that we were able to give both of those pieces of news together.
Right.
That it wasn't something we had to wait on.
So that was, one of the biggest cases that we've had here in the last couple of years is because it was a mystery. Where was she? Where had she gone to? We believe that the evidence on the scene indicated that she had been at least severely hurt. If she hadn't been killed right there, she'd been at least severely injured. And then we have her significant other who's using her ATM card as he drives across the country. So there was no reason for a lot of optimism on how we were going to find her. But nonetheless, when we eventually do find her deceased, it's a shame and it's sad, and it brings it all back.
Yeah. And it's hard, I was with the detective when he called the family, and when he got off the phone, he said, it's just so hard, these cases, because for 2 years, I've talked to these people so much and so often, and breaking this kind of news becomes even harder because now I feel like I know them and we have a bond, and so it's sad, and our
delivering the bad news.
Yeah, and our hearts really, really do go out to her family and her friends.
No, so nonetheless, the upside of it is, we are going to hold him accountable. He's not getting away with anything, and we look forward to him having his day in court. So
absolutely.
Another one topic that's been in the news locally for us is our real-time crime center.
It has, yeah. So we talked about it a little bit on the show. You had Lieutenant Malone on.
Yep. A few weeks back.
Yeah. It's been like a month.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
And Scott's actually got pictures up right now of the real-time crime center. We'd done an interview with the Daily Times some months back, and they had other stories that cropped up. So they wound up doing kind of some refreshment with us here over the last week and a half, and then I think it was Sunday, we were on the front page of the Daily Times, and so that sparked a lot of discussion again. And we don't live and die on social media. I think that would be foolish to do that, and we're not always the most popular. We're popular to talk about, but that doesn't mean we're always the most popular.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, some of the concerns that we saw in the social media comments were about facial recognition technology, which we don't use, and which we did talk about that in the article. We do not use facial recognition technology. These are purely security camera footage. And oftentimes they're on traffic lights, so we pull them after a car crash. Both drivers think they had the green light. You pull the video. One had the green light, one had the red light. We can show that. You get to solving crimes like that. But what we're hopeful is that cases like we had the stabbing, which we've not solved, down on the Riverwalk across from the Red Lion Hotel. And, with our cameras today, we would have a much better shot of solving that case. We'd be able to see who is coming and going from the area. You could reach out and connect those folks. If we didn't actually have the crime occurring on video. And when you do, it certainly clears everything up. There's not as big a mystery, and it increases the chances that we're going to be able to make an arrest, or at least give some closure to family in these cases. So while I'm absolutely cognizant of people's concern about civil rights and privacy and all that goes with that, the truth is we're regulating how we're using the information and when we're tapping into these cameras. But we just saw the other day a police officer in Colorado was killed responding to a suspicious person at the library. We have cameras at the library. When we're able to link into those cameras, we'll be able to tell our officer, here's what you're responding to. Here's what the suspect looks like. Here's what he appears to be armed with. Here's what he's doing. And that gives you every chance of getting your officers into these situations safely and a chance to interdict whatever's going on. In the case up in Arvada, Colorado, the officer was looking around for the suspect, and the suspect ambushed him, came up from behind him. Obviously, they didn't have the technology that we're talking about having. And so I personally am against big government intrusion, and we will not do that. But I am also for, we've got to reimagine how we're going to keep our community safe. We are not in an ascending time period for police officer recruitment. We're down probably 12 officers total. We have 4 in FTO and 6 in the academy right now. That's 10 just totally in training. And we're 6 below that even, so maybe we're 16 down. But the truth is, down the road, how are we going to police? We're not going to be able to have an officer on every mile of the Riverwalk, but yet you and your family want to be able to go there and feel safe. And so the ability for the police to monitor what's going on in the parks through our cameras, it will be, yes, there may be a little bit of an intrusion. You're not all alone in the woods, but that's a good thing in a lot of ways in the city. So that's, I guess, kind of my spiel.
Well, and just the perspective of it, we have, I think right now in the parks, I think we have over 30 cameras, and on streets we have over 70, and there we have at most inside the Real-Time Crime Center 2 people, and 2 people can't watch that many cameras.
No.
So they're not actively watching people. What they're doing is when someone calls 911 or calls non-emergency dispatch and requests for an officer, then the officers in the Real-Time Crime Center are trying to see if they can gather information that dispatch maybe doesn't have time to gather through the same systems that dispatch has always used, and then see if there's a camera angle where they can give a better description. And I hear it on the radio all the time. They'll tell dispatch, hey, that motorist assist, that stalled vehicle in the intersection is actually out of the roadway now, so you don't have to send an officer. So it's us using our resources in a more efficient manner, and those officers in the Real-Time Crime Center are absolutely not, they can't watch everyone all the time.
No.
So it's not feasible.
So you're right to be concerned about it, but let's also have just a measure of perspective on it. What we're talking about is people getting killed and whether or not we're going to be able to solve those crimes. One of the things I've gotten a lot of pressure on through the years that I've been here in Farmington is the racing on 20th. Do I think that the racing on 20th is dangerous? Well, I absolutely do. Do I think that eventually somebody could get killed and maybe even will get killed if it's not stopped? I do think that. But I also know how difficult it is for us to do it with just deploying officers, and they've got their scanners and then they move off to another place, and as soon as the officers disperse, because I can't leave officers just sitting on 20th all night, then they come back and they start it up again, and it's been a tradition here in Farmington for decades. Well, what I can tell you is with the cameras on 20th, we'll be able to get the license plates, we'll be able to get descriptions and pictures of the drivers, and we're going to shut that down. So it may be a year, 2, 3 years down the road by the time we're fully able to do it, but we're going to change what has been a problem that has plagued Farmington for decades, and that nobody's been able to get their hands on, including the FPD and me. And now we have the technology and the ability to do that. So I'm very hopeful that what you're going to see 10 years from now is a department that is leaner, that we are depending more on technology than we are just on throwing more bodies out, and especially in a time period where we're not getting a lot more bodies.
Yeah. And it's important. If you read the article, I know not everyone subscribes to the Daily Times, and it's a subscriber article online, but if you get a hold of a paper or whatever, read the article, because I feel like Josh Kellogg did a great job of fairly looking at it and talking about the concerns that
Yes.
the community has, but also he spent a lot of time with us and he asked a lot of really great questions, and he gives you the perspective that he gained through that conversation. And he the article strictly talks about that we do not have facial recognition, and that it's not something that we're even looking to in the near future. So there's a lot in the article that I think is worth reading and worth exploring if you're have any questions about
Which is
it.
one reason that we do so many, because we also did with KOB.
We did, and the Durango Herald.
And the Durango Herald. I mean, we talk with the media a lot here in town, including being here on this radio show, and occasionally being on Scott's radio show and being interviewed about various things. We are very open. If anything, I may be a little too talkative sometimes, is maybe some of the fan feedback. But we have no secrets on this. We're trying our best from the beginning. We said this is what we're trying to do, and here's why. And so we'll continue talking about it, and hopefully we'll share some of the success stories with you.
Yeah, I really hope that we have some good stories to share and show, and because I really do think that they're going to change the way that we police.
Yeah.
And another point that I guess we didn't really talk about is that this was all grant funded. So it's not that it's not our budget is so huge at the police department that we, had money to spare to do this. It was all through a grant. We wouldn't have been able to do this in the time that we did it without that grant money.
We ran a pilot project that was 6 cameras down in the Riverwalk that I believed in, and that was after the second murder that we'd had down there. We do believe in it enough that we are investing our limited resources in it. But you're right. We've been very fortunate. We received a couple of large grants, so maybe $1 million or more worth of grants, and that's what we've been using. We'll transition from here fairly quickly. Something we've been talking about on this show, that part of my job is to look at trends. Where are things going in policing, and then try and position our agency through our training and through our policies that we're on the cutting edge of where we're going. But I said you also have to watch for trends going the other way. And one of the trends I thought that we were beginning to see was greater public fear about crime and the increase in crime, and the discussion on defunding the police and how that was impacting, as well as criminal justice reform, how that was impacting the ability of police departments across the country to keep us safe. Today on the Fox News website, there's an article about the chiefs of police in the Minneapolis area that are talking about the explosion of gun crimes that they're seeing. And earlier this week, there was an interview with the Oakland police chief. Oakland certainly has had their struggles, and I think Scott has it online right now, or at least a link to it. We've only got a couple of minutes, so I've maybe talked us out of being able to watch it. But he talks about the challenges they're facing when they're cutting back on the police department's budget, and how is he supposed to ensure public safety. So if you have a chance, get on and take a look on our website and on KSJE's website, and you'll see the interview that the Oakland police chief did. And right now it's running. And what you're seeing is, there's gunfire all over the Oakland area, and this chief is talking about the defunding effort, and they'd actually made some cuts, and he was sharply critical, and he actually says some of the same things I say, which is he's not political. He represents both sides of discussions. His job in the end is to carry out whatever the mission is that the city sets for him. But part of his responsibility as well, not being political, is he's not really running for election, so he can be just bluntly honest. And it's Chief LaRon Armstrong. I thought it was a very good interview by Chief Armstrong. He's really up against it.
Fireworks activity, that's always concerning, but this year the level of celebratory gunfire was something like we haven't seen before.
Goodbye. So thank you for tuning in again this week. Half hour goes fast. We're considering expanding the show to a 3-hour show daily, calling it the FPD View.
Oh, gosh.
And we'll see where that goes.
Might be a little much.
Isn't McCain available? I mean, maybe she could be here. Now isn't she off the View? I think here pretty quick. So we'll see. We're talking. We're in discussions. They're high zoo. But in the meantime, enjoy your summer. Stay cool. Stay cool. Keep your pets indoors. Keep your pets in air conditioning. Worry about those animals these days.
Drink lots of water.
Drink lots of water. And stay off your horse. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Do you have health insurance? If not, this is a great time to get it. The high-quality health plans at healthcare.gov are now more affordable than ever. How much you pay is based on your income. 4 out of 5 people qualify for a health care plan of $10 a month or less. For free help enrolling, call healthcare.gov at 1-800-318-2596. 1-800-318-2596. This is KSJE Farmington, public radio from San Juan College. Advance your career at San Juan College. This week's job opening includes an adjunct ethics instructor. The successful candidate will have a master's degree with at least 18 graduate credit hours in a relevant field of study. Preference is given to candidates with prior teaching experience. Applications are being accepted until July 30th, 2021. See more details about this job at sanjuancollege.edu and apply directly online. San Juan College is an equal opportunity employer.
Hi, I'm Sam Payne, host of The Appleseed, an hour filled with stories for you and your family. And we're not talking about news stories here. We're talking about fairy tales and folk tales and personal stories and family tales and even a little music from time to time. And each story could spark a memory for you that you can share with the people that you love. Hear The Appleseed every Thursday at noon, right here on the information and cultural beacon of the Four Corners, KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico.
Amy Meinzer in a couple of weeks. And aviation legend Wally Funk will finally make it into space nearly 60 years after NASA said no